Hello, everyone. I think we've started now. So this is our Catskay, and I'm here with Jupiter, and this is Kaggot. We routinely refuse to
What
tell
did
you
you
why.
just say?
We cannot, for a variety of legal, moral, and dietary reasons, tell you what Kaggot actually means because it's offensive and we'll get arrested in Scotland and China for stuff.
Well, no,
The
the Chinese actually hate the Jews and the gays, so I think we'd be
yeah.
okay there.
Well, the Chinese don't really like themselves that much either,
They
as
sure like
evidence
bats.
that they like anything that moves or doesn't move or is refrigerated or is they eat a lot of things and they don't wash their hands. And
They eat koalas. Koalas.
I always heard that koala meat was actually poisonous because of their diet of eucalyptus trees. That's why they don't have any natural predators.
I don't know if they're poisonous, but it's poison for your soul to eat a fluffy little koala.
But no, literally, I've always heard that koala meat was poisonous, at least to all the local predators, because eucalyptus oil is a form of, it's not toxic exactly, but can be used as an antiseptic. And so, like, imagine eating meat infused with eucalyptus oil. Like, they don't have natural predators, from what I understand. So why are they eating that? But then again,
Well, they eat puffer fish, which are one
that's
of the
true.
most
That's
dangerous
that's
foods
very
on
true.
Earth.
That's very true. If they can, they'll eat it. I mean, like, have you seen the mukbang videos of like all these different Asian
Oh, I
celebrities
know that it's
eating
like
the
a
live
million
octopus
videos. It's a million videos of Kathy Zhu making tentacle porn, basically, but
with her
with
mouth? Yeah, it's tentacle porn that you can eat. Hallmark is branching out. So are you going to tell them about your diagnosis, or am I? You're not going to tell them about your diagnosis of Jewish dysphoria?
Jewish dysphoria.
Like, you suffer from the medical delusion of Judaisness, like, and the only cure is surgical Islam.
Does this mean I have to fuck goats? I'm not living in pods. I'm not eating bugs, and I'm not fucking goats.
All right, but you do have to have a burqa surgically attached to your chin. Is that
What's
okay?
my what's my Well, wait, hold on. Start the topic first. I'll go into that
Yeah,
later.
yeah, we'll talk about that in another episode. So, we're kind of just doing a weekend review today. There's a lot of stuff happening and nothing that we want to focus on too much. One of the first things we want to talk about is just sort of a general um, announcement. So, some of you have probably seen the video from Jordan Peterson's daughter talking about his situation. Because I know I've been wondering myself where he's been for a while. Because we heard that he checked himself into a hospital for rehab, but we did not know how bad it was. And apparently, at one point, he actually had to go to Russia to get treatment because benzodiazepines are extremely physically addictive. Like, even if you're not abusing them, even if you're following them as prescribed, like he's been indicated that he was, because he is a doctor, he knows what he's doing. But he's been going through a lot of things with his wife and a lot of, we don't know his health, but he's been going through a lot of problems. And getting off of benzos is very difficult. I was watching, do you know who V is? The YouTuber V, the Romanian doctor.
I've heard
He
the
and
name.
he and Sargon used to
Yeah.
do a lot of
Okay.
stuff
Yeah.
together. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
He has the annoying kind of high pitched
Yeah.
voice. Like, I like him, but yeah, he talks like this a lot. I don't know. But so he was talking about it, and it's an interesting thing. He was talking about, so you may wonder why someone would have to go to Russia. Well, apparently it's because Eastern European countries are the one of the only places where you can actually go old school cold turkey, like detox, where they'll essentially tie you to the bed while you withdraw and make sure that you and try to make sure you don't die, as opposed to the extremely lengthy um, microdosing. There is a anti-pharmacological solution that you know,
Well,
the
they're
way.
big into that. I mean,
Yeah,
they're both on the carnivore diet. Like that's like
yeah.
about as extreme as it gets. But the
And
thing about that is only two withdrawals can of drugs can kill you, and that's alcohol and benzodiazepines.
mhm.
And so, like, you can't die from heroin withdrawal. You can't die from cocaine withdrawal. You can only die from benzos, and because it lowers your seizure threshold to a point where it's like it'll just kill you. But that seems strange. So just to interject, Katz sent me the video, and I saw it a couple times on Twitter, like scrolling through. I couldn't watch it. Jordan Peterson means a lot to me, and I don't know. I physically couldn't watch it, so I haven't seen it.
It's
But
painful.
it seems very sketchy to me that he'd need to go somewhere like that because what it seems like is that he can't stop. What that says to me as a drug addict, that seems like he can't stop taking it.
I don't know. I really don't. I hope that
You don't need that otherwise.
his daughter says, and I was reading through the comments, and there's a lot of people saying that the daughter and the family are kind of wacky when it comes to their personal health beliefs, like I said, the carnivore diet. And originally, they claimed that he got again, it's very vague, but like they were saying that he got onto the benzos originally because of some sort of reaction to extreme food poisoning, which I've never heard of before. But I don't know. There's something going on, but you know, there, I don't need to pry into other people's windows. Like
Right.
I'm sure.
I wish they didn't have to give an excuse. That was my big thing. Usually, Michaela, his daughter, is a beautiful young lady, and she's very well spoken. She's a bright girl, but she's usually upbeat and fun and nice looking and glowing. When I turned on that video you sent me, man, it was like it's like when Katz doesn't have his avatar on and he switches to the video, everything's all dark and grainy and scary. That's what it like that type of ambiance because he used a computer web like a built-in webcam.
Yeah, I'm
But
not a dark grainy person. I just have a really shitty webcam.
right, yeah. But no, I'm saying your background. It was like
Hmm.
your background's all dark, you can't see anything. That's what it's like. That was what the video started, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be a hard one. And she had sunken eyes. And I'm just saying it's sickening to me that she has to come out and that people have to know that about him because number one, it takes nothing away from his teachings,
None.
from his ideas, from the people he's helped. None of this changes anything except what's happening to their family.
And that's the thing is that yes, he's a public figure, but it doesn't entitle any of us to know anything about his private life. It's like one of those things, and people think that because he wrote a book about how to live your life better, that somehow that means that he is presuming to live a perfect, unmarred life, and that's just on the face of it ridiculous. Usually, the people who try to help others themselves have a lot of problems, which is why they have been thinking about how to help others. And it's much easier to help other people than it is to help yourself. I know that from personal experience, like healthcare providers like myself, like I know so many nurses who are, we spend all day giving medications to people, taking their vital signs, making sure that they're healthy. And nurses often have terrible health as a result because we just don't have the time or the energy at the end of it to take care of ourselves.
Our camera cut off, but you know that fat what's his name? What the Genghis Khan looking guy, Ian Miles Chong.
Mm-hmm.
Well, him and all your eggs are gone at 30.
Oh,
Hoover,
Stephen
Molyneux.
Molyneux, the
They were
egg.
there like, oh well, you yokels and morons and deadbeats believed him, and look at him, he's a dumb deadbeat junkie. Okay, my sponsor when I first got into the program, not my first sponsor, but this time around when I got clean, he had I think like 23 or 24 years of clean time. He was brilliant. He gave me the absolute best advice. And look at me. I mean, alive and I'm not doing drugs. But he not only relapsed but died of heroin
Oh,
almost 2 years ago.
oh, I'm so sorry.
So that doesn't mean his advice was wrong.
No,
And it's do as I say, not as I do. But my dad, for instance, told me not to do a lot of things that I shouldn't be doing, that he had done himself. Telling people that advice givers are, that someone's advice is wrong if they don't follow it is absurd. It's like, what a dumb juvenile concept.
it makes no sense, and it's true that the only people who are supposed to be perfect are gods, and they don't exactly walk around us. And if you spend all your time trying to make gods out of people in your life, well, then you're going to be disappointed because they're not perfect. And it's hilarious that people like, say, Stephen Mullen, you would try to say that Jordan Peterson shouldn't be followed because he's a human being. It's like, okay, Eggman, do you have no mistakes? Are there no things that you regret doing? Are there no times that you've not measured up to your own ideology, whatever the hell it is? Because I don't understand it.
A dear
But
friend of mine posted a beautiful list of all of Stefan Molyneux's hypocrisies
mhm.
and put them up against his comments. But you know what? Chong needs to, that Chungus, Big Chungus needs to, that little creature, that goblin. It was not even a day after we found the news. It was the same day that Jordan Peterson, who I don't, unlike Chung, uh, Jordan has touched many of our lives in a
Mhm.
very, very deep way. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you what Maps of Meaning did for me a long time ago. It brought me back into my faith at a time where I was losing my faith. So fat little goblins like him really need to take their rat beard and rub it against a grindstone. I
Well,
have no time for people like that.
it's like, what do these people contribute other than being essentially high-level professional trolls? It's like,
Right.
okay, you're edgy for a living and you talk about stuff.
And who is
Great.
that dude? No, I'm asking you. Okay, who is he? What does he do? Like, I'm asking. I don't even know why he's famous. Doesn't he have a blue check mark?
He's some sort of
Who is he?
he's some sort of journalist, edgelord person. I
I
don't.
know his Twitter work, but like,
Yeah, it's pretty much all he does. I mean,
okay, so
I mean,
sorry.
yeah, I know. He's one of those people that people talk about online, but let's separate the difference right now from Ian Miles Chung and Jordan Peterson. People outside of Twitter know who Jordan Peterson is. There you go. That's the single most important
Or name
difference.
one person that Ian Miles Chung has helped. But
His
I've said this many times.
himself.
Right, to some pudding and
Mhm.
cake looks like.
Mm.
But Jordan Peterson, and I posted this out when we first got the news, but Dr. Peterson has cried in interviews talking about how these poor, helpless, lost young men come up to him and say, after shows, after speeches, and say, thank you, you saved my life, or you got me back with my dad.
He
And
cares.
and
He
he
really
cries
does.
about it. Like, he cares. Like, the humility and decency of that man. I just, but anyway, so back to the video.
Yeah.
So Michaela
So,
was saying,
I've lost the thread what Michaela was what we were talking
so
about before.
he had to go to, you said he had to go to Russia.
Oh, yeah. Apparently they've tried. She says they've gone to a couple of really high-level hospitals in North America, and none of the attempts to get him off were successful, because they've been using very pharmacological, traditional therapies, and not, it's true, not everyone responds to them. So apparently they had to go to Russia to go old school because they tried everything else, and so in Russia and Eastern Europe, they'll tie you to the bed, and I mean, it's not like they'll abandon you. Like, I'm assuming they probably went to a very nice place, probably the same place that Putin and the other people go to,
Right.
the people with actual money. Um, but like they'll let you scream. They will keep you alive, but it's not going to be pleasant. And she says he's better now. Like she says that he's
Thank
going to
God.
make it. Yeah, she
Thank
says that
God.
the next up. She says the next update will be from him. So that's the biggest. She says that he's smiling, that his sense of humor has returned. So all we can say is, Dr.
Good.
Peterson, we love you and we hope that you come back soon.
And you have just so thoroughly been in my prayers. But not to derail us and throw just some random thing out there, but I think that this might be interesting to some. Speaking of someone who's been in my prayers, uh, Rush Limbaugh, was
Mm-hmm.
diagnosed with cancer. And
Mm-hmm.
speaking of crying as well, I remember when I got the news, I was sitting there like literally bawling my eyes out for like 30 minutes. And so finally I call Katz, and I'm like still just like weeping like a child. And like, and I'm not kidding. Like I
No,
wouldn't say that if it wasn't like I was literally just bawling my eyes out.
you were quite distraught.
And he said to me something that Tim Pool said yesterday or the day before along the same lines, which was, well, I'm a liberal. This is what Katz said. I'm a liberal. He was always the boogeyman. To me, I always heard he was real mean and nasty and all of that. And Tim Pool was saying, well, I hate Rush, but, I hope he gets better and blah, blah. And what I said to Katz was, he was the boogeyman. He's who the boogeyman checked under their bed for every night. He wasn't a boogeyman. He was a titan of his industry. And the number one, he's America's anchorman, and he changed the game. He created the format of talk radio, but he was also, this is something they'll never tell you, the nicest man on the planet. And everyone says this. Everybody, period, says this. And he is known on the left and slandered as a racist, as mean and brutal. And so Mr. Snerdley, his lifelong, for 30 years, radio manager, he was, the general of Rush's army. Turns out he's a black guy. He came out and he's like, give me a list of racist stuff Rush has said. But my point is, I'd like to ask Kat's opinion of, because Katz is a newfound conservative, did it shock you to find out, or to be told at least, if you believe, that Rush actually was a kind and like amazing, generous person?
I'm embarrassed to say that it does, or did rather. Now that I've looked into it, I see what you're talking about. There's just, when you grow up liberal and, coming like I do from a multi-generational Democratic family, growing up in California in the Bay Area, I mean, you get all these assumptions and add gay on top of it, and you just get all of this, political prescription that you don't even think about it, because why would you? And so, like, there was just growing up, there was sort of automatic thinking, Republicans, bad, because, I'm gay, they hate me, they want, like, that was the way I was raised. And to be fair, we've talked about this before, the Republican Party used to be considerably more hostile to gay people, and it's not now, thankfully. But I had no idea until you told me, and I wish I had known, that Rush Limbaugh was not part of that. Because you told me that if it weren't for Rush Limbaugh, Andrew Breitbart would never have been a thing.
And Breitbart would have been the first people that told you that. And,
Mm-hmm.
it's funny, it's Andrew Breitbart. I know I've told this story probably on Kaggot before, but my dad, who is a right-winger, like a right-winger, he's since birth. Both my father, my father's father, myself, my mother, my mother's father, we all came out of the womb conservative. We weren't, we didn't grow into this. We didn't get, the wool pulled off our eyes. But my dad was like, Andrew Breitbart, no, he's a Jew hater. He's like a Nazi. I said, Dad, he was a gay Jew. What do you mean? He's like, he was not. I was like, $100. And he didn't bet me on that time. My dad and I bet on things like that a lot. I'm actually about to lose a bet because I bet him $100 last year that Hillary would join the race. But Andrew Breitbart was demonized and slandered. It's a lie. It's such a lie. Once you realize that Breitbart um, is a gay Jew and they're calling him a homophobic Nazi, and he was a liberal most of his life as well, you start to realize, and that's actually how Breitbart became conservative. It was Clarence Thomas, the black Supreme Court justice. He watched what the Democrats did during his confirmation hearing. There's a famous clip. This is a high-tech lynching. And Breitbart saw them slandering Clarence Thomas and saw him slandering Rush, and he realized. But yeah, Rush Limbaugh was a driving force in a lot of minorities, gays, Jews, blacks, Hispanics in their careers, and that's why everyone's coming out in droves to support him.
You must have been so touched when you saw Melania give him the medal. That was quite a. He was genuinely shocked. That was really something.
You know, I was drinking that night, and
not you.
Hey, Manish Tanach Halayla Chazeh. Why is this night different from all other nights? But
that's the name of his favorite bar, by the way.
and so it really touched me then. But then I'm on the toilet in the morning on my usual Twitter game. You know, I lurk.
On the toilet. You lurk on Twitter, or you lurk your toilet?
Well, I'm lurking. I'm lurching over the toilet.
Okay. See, I'm picturing you lurking
on the phone.
I'm picturing you just lurking in your bathroom, like staring at the toilet, hiding. These are the things that I think about.
These are the times that try men's holes. Mm-hmm. No, so that's brilliant, actually. No, so and I saw it again in the morning, and I'm sorry, I'm not one of these guys who's like able to hide my sadness. Doesn't make me cry very much. A lot of things like that don't, but love and like
true. You're a very sentimental person, and you're a very emotional person.
I am.
Go figure. You know, the Jewish guys are traditionally so stoic and unemoted. But hey, we all have
I'm sitting there, and I watched that clip again. Saw how beautiful she looked, and I'm literally sitting there again crying. I'm sorry. I do. I cry when I'm alone. I'm a sentimental person. But
such toxic masculinity.
So I'm scrolling through, and I see all these. I can't even use the words I want to use. There's no words for these creatures. They're not human. They're creatures. They're demons. They're creatures. They're demons. They're goblins. They're ghouls. They're horrible. But they were saying, "Oh, it was in the news all day. He knew that he was getting it. Why did he act so surprised?" Number one, Trump was actually going to give it to him months later. So we don't even know if Rush did know. But even if he did, why do we assume he was acting surprised? He went like this, okay? He went like he's getting the Medal of fucking Freedom. Mm-hmm. Rosa Parks got the Medal of Freedom. Okay? Like, please. He's allowed to act however he wants. He was being gracious. And I thought that he looked so graceful and beautiful. But anyway.
It was quite a moment. That was a hell of a speech, I must say. It's probably the only time I've ever seen a State of the Union that felt like a rally. And it's funny because it wasn't like a Trump rally exactly. I mean, yes, he talked about himself a lot because that's what he does. Period. But love him or hate him, that's what he does.
What he does.
I can just imagine Trump being born. It's like, that was the single greatest birth ever. I was so into it. But thanks, Mom. You did a great job. Like
beautiful, bigly.
But no, what I liked about it though was that I mean, honestly, there was just so much about America that made me feel really good to be an American, and not in the whole like saber rattling like America, fuck yeah. I mean, like, these are things that, if you're not happy about these things, well, then you'd be Nancy Pelosi.
you know, the Democrat reaction when he was just listing all of these things, they weren't standing for anything. Like they weren't
Barely.
standing up for anything. And um, one of the things about that State of the Union was that they said that he didn't shake her hand. By the way, go watch the slow-mo clip of that. He didn't shake Pence's hand either. He literally handed her the paper, turned around. That was it. So I doubt that. But the contrast between the two of them, between the Democrats and the Republicans, couldn't have been more clear. It just couldn't have been more clear. But
But
let me ask you
it,
this.
mhm.
No, go ahead. Go ahead,
I
please.
would say it was a lot of back and forth. I mean, literally, we know there's no love lost at all between Pelosi and Trump. I mean, who knows the things that have been said in private, let alone the things that have been said in public. But I mean, also, apparently, she's supposed to. There's a traditional address that she's supposed to like give the how the that she's supposed to give, saying like, it's my honor to present you the president of the United States. There's, like this. It's a longer, more flowery thing, and instead she just said the president of the United States. So we're already starting a
She
back and
introduced
forth
him
thing.
wrong. Yeah.
Well, it's not like she doesn't know. I mean, she's been in government for
She
about.
did it for both of his other
Mhm.
sodas. So the thing, like, she
She, kn-
knows it's
oh yeah,
my great honor to present to you in the people's house the president of the United motherfucking States, Donald Trump.
streamers, like firecrackers going off in the background. Phew, phew. But no, and here's the thing: I don't give a fuck if he not shaking her hand is whatever. She started something, he started something. They've been going back and forth. That's
But
my
I would like you. We haven't talked about this. I would like you to go back and watch that clip. I don't think that she did not shake his hand.
no. She
I that
reached out. She reached
I
out
don't
for him.
think that, no, I don't think that. Here, I'm going to do a screen share. Um, it's not going to be copyright, but I'm going to do this for you and the folks back home. I'm going to do a quick screen share, and I want you guys, cats included, to be the judge.
I always judge. Well, you.
Yeah, like my decor, which
That's
is
what blurred.
fantastic.
That's why it's blurred.
In the meantime, did you think that? Sorry.
You're not a Pentium. You don't multitask.
No, I do. I do multitask. It's not that. It's that this is not. It's YouTube. So I want to use YouTube because. Okay, hold on. Let me just. I'm watching this to make sure this is the right one.
Na, 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 na,
I
na.
know.
Na, 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 na,
But
na, na.
my point is, it's not clear that he did not shake her hand. I think that he didn't see her hand.
Even if I don't
But
actually
even if he
particularly
did,
care.
I don't think it matters. But let's see it.
We're talking about what's at best a microaggression, to use the colloquialism, being followed up by a a riot. I mean, like, literally. I mean, people are leaving. People are leaving the Democratic Party over this. People are, people came up to Scary Nancy, and they're all terrified of her. But Democrats came up to Nancy, people in government, and told her, "You have shamed our entire party."
Right. I mean, and even on MSNBC, people were calling in like, "I'll never vote Democrat again." But can you see my screen right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So, watch this.
Okay.
He didn't shake either of their hands. I don't think he saw it. Look.
It doesn't show. Oh, yeah, there we are. It's
See?
it's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, it doesn't look like he. It doesn't
He
look
didn't
like he.
see it, and they did it in slow-mo on Twitter, and watch again. He
I
didn't
mean,
even look.
he wasn't
Show me
interested.
where he shakes Pence's hand.
He didn't. I mean, and regardless,
I don't agree. I'm sorry. I do not think. I think that he should have. You know what I think he should have done? Let me turn off screen sharing. I think he should have went like this. Handed to Pence, handed to Pelosi, and said, "Fuck you, Satanist bitch," and then turned around. I don't think the woman who's done so much to destroy him and his family and ruin people's lives and bankrupted people and possibly put Roger Stone in prison forever and Mike Flynn, I think he should have flicked her off or worse.
Peed on her.
But I do not subscribe to the belief that he saw the hand.
It's entirely possible he didn't, but even
why
if
would
he did,
why would he shake her hand and not Mike Pence's hand?
Yeah, I don't know.
He hands it to Pence, hands it to her, and walks away. He didn't want to see her. That's it.
But even like I still subscribe to the idea that even if he had, not shaking someone's hand is not the same thing as tearing up their speech, because the shaking of the hand that's a Trump Nancy. That's an interpersonal thing. But the speech, that was about America. That was about all of us.
Well, the whole attack point of saying, you had a Tuskegee Airman who, for those of you who don't know, was the first ever black Air Force pilots. Him and his grandson, who's going to be in the Space Force, you ripped up their names. You ripped up that grieving brother and wife. You ripped up all the stories of the people he told. You ripped up the people that she said, I welcomed him into my house, or someone said, I welcomed, I think it was AOC, maybe it was Anna Kasparian, said she welcomed him into her house and he didn't even have the decency to shake her hand. That's my house. That's our house. It's not
You're just using it.
And that was the people's State of the Union.
Yeah, it's utterly ridiculous. I mean, even if he had shook her hand, like, she's still I really think she would have done it. Do you think she planned it ahead of time, or do you think that because you can see when you watch it that she pre-teared the papers. She tried to do it discreetly a couple of times.
I think there's a 79.4% chance that she did it, that she pre-planned it. I would give it actually over 80% chance that she planned to do it beforehand. But obviously, you see her go below, pre-tear. She had, there were all the pictures of it. Yeah, she knew.
I mean, she knew. It's hilarious and kind of weird that her reactions to the speech were almost more famous than the speech itself at this point. I mean, there are more people talking about. I mean, have you seen the videos that are like literally just Nancy Pelosi reacting to Donald Trump?
I'm listening.
What are you doing?
I'm grabbing a caffeinated beverage.
Full of Irish cream.
Ew! Quit talking about your cream all the time. You gays and your cum references.
I just assumed it was full of alcohol, but that could also work.
No, it's not full of alcohol.
Are you sure? It's funny because it's all blurred out. We can't. It looks
Censored.
like everything is being censored because everything in Jupiter's apartment is.
I like that. It saves us from copyright infringements.
Except for the Gabbana and Dolce on your shirt.
Oh.
It'd be hilarious if it blurred out everything except your face.
Oh, I'm sorry. You noticed?
I did.
Noticed my vintage Dolce? Thanks.
Humble brag.
But
I gotta find a way for it to blur. I gotta find a way for it to blur everything except your face, like including your shirt and
just
your
like
hands.
A glowing knee. I feel like a Cheshire cat. But one of the brilliant commentaries, and we can edit that part out. But sorry, I needed caffeine. But one of the brilliant commentaries I saw on that was some leftist on Twitter was saying, Trump told all of these lies during this speech, and he, said this and that wasn't true, and the jobs rates, and now we let him get away with all of it because now he said all these great things, brought up all these great people, so those are his optics, and now all we have is Nancy tearing up the page, and that's all anyone's talking about instead of fact-checking. It's a good point.
Yeah, except pretty much. I mean, Sargon and a couple other people have talked about it. It's like It's really not fair to call them lies. It was a political speech. There were some rounding.
No,
Basically,
no, no, no. I don't think that they were lies. I actually don't think they were lies, period.
no. I mean, it's like literally. We're talking
No, you're
about.
not understanding. I'm saying leftists are upset because they think that everything Trump says is a lie.
Oh,
Like
regardless of
the
what they say.
lowest unemployment numbers. Number one, that's true. But they were like, we could have called him out on the fact that, yeah, they're the lowest, but this, and this, or but he missed this number by this many decimals. But now, instead of being able to fact check the speech, all he gets is this glorious speech, and we can't fact check because all anyone's talking about is Nancy ripping up the sheet.
Because even if she hadn't done that, if you tried to say it was all lies, at best you'd be able to talk. You'd be arguing, like splitting hairs is really the best way you could call it. Like none of it. There's nothing that's verifiably false in that.
Well, I don't know if you know this, sir. Trump has over 14 quadrillion billion million lies recorded, and we're counting it on a website. So maybe you should just like check your facts.
Is that website monitoring his deception or the amount of semen that you've ingested through your ear?
It depends per unit.
Per day, yeah.
You know
More
what?
semen.
Let me explain something to you.
About semen?
The left has a way, and it goes back to what we're talking about, Rush and Peterson and Breitbart. The left has done this to every effective conservative fighter since the dawn of time. They smear them, they lie about them, they call them liars as well, you know? And they're lying about Breitbart, they're lying about Trump, they're lying about Rush, and then lying, you know?
About lying.
About lying, rather, yeah. And so one of the things is what ends up happening 10, 15 years down the road is even Republicans start believing the left's lies because they control the media. And so I'll give you the best example is here comes the black crime bullshit by Jewpiter. I know. You all love it.
We had at least one episode without it.
Trayvon Martin. You're
Yes.
too young to remember who that is.
Possibly.
Are you really?
No, I'm older than you, you idiot.
No. Substantially too. He's super old. But yeah, that's okay. He's like Rush's age.
I'm 74.
But Trayvon Martin would have been 25 years old last week, okay? It was a Twitter story. And something about that case, Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman, for those of you who don't know, which is nobody, Trayvon Martin was some young black teen who was beating some neighborhood watchman's face into the ground, which they didn't tell you. And the neighborhood watchman shot him. The man's name was George Zimmerman. He was a Hispanic gentleman.
I thought that Trayvon was a gentle giant who used to feed baby birds out of his hand.
Right. And when they portrayed it on the news, they didn't show George Zimmerman's bruises and his face being smashed into the ground. They didn't show anything. And when they portrayed Trayvon, they're like, he was going to go to college. And they brightened his face and made him look younger with editing and were caught. And they made George Zimmerman, who they say, and there were like white supremacy headlines. And they made George Zimmerman's skin look lighter. Meanwhile, he's like a pretty clearly Hispanic man. But they picked the pictures that made him look the whitest and brightened them. And meanwhile, Trayvon, the pictures they used were like him going, and then there were pictures of him holding guns with like gang Instagram posts or whatever they were, Facebook or MySpace, and or him blowing blunts at like 15, you know? And
it's just his culture.
It's just his culture. But my point is, this has been happening forever, this deception, because we just heard 25 years, or Trayvon Martin would have been 25 today, last week.
Uh-huh.
In 25 years, or in 10 years, mark my words, they'll say that Michael Brown, the hands up, don't shoot guy, who turned out that was all bullshit, and he was like a thug, violent criminal who tried to grab a cop's gun, they'll say, Michael Brown would have been 35 today. They will do this stuff, and they're doing it to conservatives all the time. So whenever they tell you anything, don't listen.
There's, at this point, my retort, even just to myself, anytime I hear about one of these kinds of crimes, these identity crimes, let's call them, my immediate response is like, okay, is this a Jussie Smollett? Like,
Juicy Smollett.
Juicy Smollett? Like, no, because I'm sorry. Until I've gotten to the point now, it's the same thing with when it comes to Me Too allegations, when it comes to race, hate, crime, whatever things, like I'm too cynical at this point. I don't believe anything unless there's proof. And I mean proof, not just some sort of like, if you're just telling me it happened, I don't care. I'm sorry. Like, I don't really want to hear about it if you don't have proof, because there are too many people that lie, and there are too many reasons to lie. It's just there's so much currency until we in it's so much currency and clout in being a victim of any kind, and until we have to devalue that, until we
But
stop.
why? But why would they lie about something like this? Isn't that your favorite? Why would they
Yeah.
lie? Oh, I don't know. To be famous. What do you mean? Why would they lie? I love that one. Why would they lie about something like this?
GoFundMe.
Right. News. Because they're losers. Because they've done nothing for themselves, and all of a sudden they're victims. And we put too much currency on that. But let me ask you this about that. With the see, you've only been looking into stuff like that for a couple years now. So I used to look at Jewish hate crimes and be like, lying every time, because I've been doing this for decades, looking at this bullshit. Now I'm at the point where someone's like, as a Jew on Twitter, and I'm always like, lying. I don't even believe they're Jewish anymore, let alone that they got a hate crime committed. People be like, someone spray painted a swastika on my house because I'm Jewish. It's like, how the fuck would they know you're Jewish? You're like in a like how would someone know you were Jewish?
You run a bacon.
You don't wear one of, like, what do you mean?
You run a bacon restaurant.
Right. Right. I was sitting there minding my own business, eating my bacon, my BLT, and extra mayo, of course, because I'm Jewish, and extra bacon because I'm Jewish. And this man came and said, "Hey, you, first part of Kaggot word. Shut up, you dumb Jew." It's like,
yeah, I think that people just need to honestly just shut up and grow up. If something bad happened to you, I'm sorry. But if there's no way for you to really prove that it happened, then I really don't want to hear about it.
But why? All right, so you said we need to devalue the currency of victimhood, right? And these hate crimes. You can't, because that's a cultural issue. There is a solution that is feasible and easy. You cannot devalue the currency of our current state of victimhood. What you can do is increase the value of punishment for promoting hoaxes and fake hate crimes. And I think that the only way we get past this is by these kids saying to themselves, look, and oftentimes they're not kids, these people saying to themselves, look, if I do this and I get caught lying about it, I'm going to jail for 5 years. Not worth the 500,000 retweets.
Or the $6,000 I might be able to get on GoFundMe out of sympathy donations.
Because that doesn't cover lawyer costs for a 5-year bid.
I think that there should be a law. I'm sure maybe there is one somewhere, but I really don't think there is. Like, for instance, a great example. I feel like if you can be proven to have lied, especially with any kind of malicious intent. Like take that guy who got expelled from, I think it was Harvard, even after the allegations were proven to be false, the girl saying that he sexually assaulted her.
Mattress Girl guy?
I
That
don't
wasn't
remember.
true.
I don't think it was Mattress Girl guy, but I remember hearing about it on the news. There was this guy who was going to Harvard. He got Me Too'd. He actually was apparently able to prove that it was completely false, but they still kicked him out of the school.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time. People get
So
fired too, as well,
I
even
I
when they're
feel
proven innocent.
I feel like there should be a law that if even if like the institution doesn't decide to do anything about it, that if you get caught lying about someone maliciously in a way like that, that at the very least there needs to be some sort of severe punishment, depending on especially if a person loses their job or their school placement. It needs to be something, whether and
There
not just
should
some.
be, well, it's kind of like defamation laws, which we have the laxest it's so hard to prove defamation in this country and get a conviction that it's like it's not even worth your time. And but the problem is with something like that, I almost think that lying, fine, you can lie. I'll never try to regulate lying. That's like fascistic. But if you lie about someone where there could be real world consequences against them from it, then yeah, you need to go to jail. I'm done with these fines. I'm done with probation. If
Community
you all right,
service.
if all right, so if Kitty Cat the Cat's man himself, if Catmandu was a lady, he's a
I love
queen,
it.
but he's not a lady. But
I am not a queen.
if he were, no, you're
Dare
not at all. You're not at all.
you. How dare you?
Sir,
How
but
dare you?
but if you were, let's say you were Greta Katzberg, and you said that Jupiter grabbed you by the pussy at work, and I got fired. Yeah, you should go to jail. Like, even if like you should go to jail. At this point, the deterrents are so little, and the reward is so high that it's like, why wouldn't you fake a hate hoax? Why not?
Because if you know that they're not going to be able to do anything against you in the courts, and you're unlikely to be fired from your job, hell, you might even be promoted, if nothing else, just because
Right.
they don't want you to do it to someone else, so they want to keep you happy. Like these schools and these jobs, these HR places are so afraid of all the negative publicity and all the other crap that comes with these whether the statements are true or false, it doesn't matter to them. The fact that they're being made at all is a problem, and they just want it to go away as quickly as possible. And so the only way they know to do that is to just give these women often like whatever they want. And it's not just women, Me Too stuff. Like Me Too stuff, it's mostly women, but we're also talking about like any kind of perceived persecution. It's like, oh
Well,
my God.
Nicholas Sandman. Nicholas Sandman wasn't accused of doing any crime, but his life was ruined. He was suspended. His family and him had to move. This young boy, that was the Covington
Oh,
Catholic.
that's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
All he did was stand there and be insulted and berated by grown men, the black Hebrew Israelites who were totally racist, bigot assholes, and that liar, Nathan Phillips, the chief crockable. There was no punishment, and all that CNN had to do, because they're suing all these people, is pay a settlement. So yeah, Nick Sandman's now rich, but the problem is the media has plenty of money for lawsuits. What we need to do is not change the reward system for victimhood. Like I said, you'll never do it. But I'm telling you, if something isn't done soon about the deterrence, like the fact that Jussie Smollett was on every television screen in America every second of every day during that, you'll never change that reward system. But until people like him start going to prison, you'll have nothing. You can't change the culture, because let me tell you something. CNN made way more money with the ratings of the Jussie Smollett story than they paid Nick Sandman. I guarantee you it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Guaranteed.
It just seems, and we should probably start trying to tie this together. Um, I don't. It just seems like I don't. I feel like there is a change in the tide, though. I feel like people are starting to get more fed up with this stuff.
People are, yeah, I'd agree.
I mean, people are starting, like, the woke movies are starting to fail. Well, I mean, the woke movies never really made money, but like they're really starting to fail
Like Birds
now.
of Prey,
Yeah. Oh my.
bombed. It bombed, and people say it's terrible,
Oh yeah.
except
It's
critics.
yeah. Well, because and no one believes. Isn't it funny how like critics 5 years ago were so important, and now no one believes them at
Right.
all because it's just been thoroughly exposed to be nothing but just PR marketing. Like literally people that give softball reviews or even positive reviews because they want to, they want to go to the parties, they want to be able to see the movies first, and if they don't play nice, then they won't get to go to those parties and they won't get to see the movies early. So it's like, so why would you bother listening to these people? It's like the same people that do phone reviews. It's like most of those people, you don't want to take them too seriously because they like, for instance, like people who review iPhones, if they give a bad Apple review, they get banned from the Apple
It's
events.
over. Yeah, it's over.
And if you can't go to the Apple events and you can't talk about the iPhone, then who the hell's going to who's going to listen to you if you can't talk about the iPhone?
It's all rigged. The,
It's
the
all
tables
rigged.
the tables are tilted. The game's rigged. Like Dave Chappelle, they gave 5 or 6 people the ability to review him. They gave him a 0% for that Sticks and Stones special. Then when they opened it up for audience critique, it was like 100%, literally. So it went
Oh
from
yeah.
zero to a zero critic, 100% audience. And yeah, yeah, we're done. I mean, people are done with it. And just if I could just say one thing before you wrap us up, God bless you, Jordan Peterson.
Yes.
God carry you on your journey. God bless you and carry you on your journey, Rush. And these two men have done so much for so many of us that here's a prayer, not a prayer. I don't pray for negativity, but here's a personal putting out
Wish.
to the universe. God help every single man, woman, or child that has been stomping on Rush and Jordan Peterson's grave. I just,
And to be fair, and we would say this about if people were doing it on the left. Like if we found out that I don't know, like who's an example of some particularly egregious leftist
we
figure
did.
would
We did. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We
that's
all
right.
sent our prayers, all of
Yeah.
us. When she
And
had cancer, we all said, we don't want anyone to get cancer. A lot of us said step down, but none of us said, good, the dumb, evil, socialist swine. No, we all
and
said, "Happy Mary on your trails," you know?
and I think that that's the biggest difference between the right and the left online, at least, and probably in general, is that when there are those idiots who are like, "Oh, I can't wait for her to die," but the difference is they'll be widely condemned by most people on the right. Most people on the
Precisely.
ri- Most people on the right was like, "Yeah, I hate her politics, but I don't want her to die."
It's the old adage that we think they're dumb and they think we're evil. But with the advent of Trump, now we think they're evil and
Mm,
dumb.
which is a terrible, terrible combination.
But they allow their demonization as they allow themselves to show their evil disgustingness about us through the guise of claiming we're evil. They're like, it's that old clip that I always come back to where the Nazis are standing around with the skulls on their hats and the big, scary uniforms, and one turns to the other and goes, "Are we the baddies? We the bad guys?" It's like
What
one day they'll look at their tweets like, "Good, I hope Rush and his whole family die of cancer, and the devil rapes him." And they look at that one day and are like, "Wait,
did I really say that?
am I the evil one?" Right. Like,
Oh my God, I'm the dick.
right. Yeah, who says that?
And I think that's why it's so dependent on this cult-like mentality of like you have to believe that the other side is completely irredeemable because that's the only way to excuse your own conduct.
Right. I mean, if you, like I was going to say, like, the only person I would say I hope to get cancer would be like a Stalin or a Mao or a Hitler, you know? And
Yeah.
the only way that normal everyday humans can become Auschwitz prison guards, and this is a Jordan Peterson speech where he taught a class where he showed his students, if you were in Germany in the 1940s or late 1930s, you would have been a Nazi, and you might have been psyched to be promoted to Auschwitz prison guard. The only way you can get normal everyday people to wish cancer and hell, literally eternal damnation on people, is by demonizing them to a point where they claim we demonize immigrants by being like, yeah, you can't just come here illegally. But meanwhile, they're like, we hope you get dick cancer and get raped. It's like, you're the bad guys. But
You, people have got to chill out and take a more nuanced view. If we're ever to progress as not just as a society but as a species, we have to try to get past our dumb ape brains. There are a lot of things that most people do not want to see the messy gray details because it's more comfortable, because it's easier. But I guess that's one thing that we can maybe thank social media for, even though social media, I do believe, will probably destroy us in many ways. But one of the things that it's helped, though, is that it really lays bare the way people are, at least one aspect of them. And it's much harder to rationalize, like for instance, like the Bernie Bros, for instance. Like on the one hand, you can have an intellectual argument about socialism until you're blue in the face. That's fine, whatever, be heart's content. But it's different when you can say socialism versus socialists. Because look at like all the video footage of Bernie Bros and the people at the campaigns talking about putting people in literal gulags and
right,
beating people to death. It's like, okay, socialism, bad idea. Socialists, evil. And we
right.
can see that with actual evidence. And I think that's as good a place as any to stop, is to say,
I
you know what?
agree, and I that is the best place to stop. And as you're wrapping us up, I just want to say that the Tree of Life shooting, which happened 2 blocks that way, literally not even 2 blocks that way, uh, we have these trees.
You can kind of see them, but they keep getting
Hold on,
blurred
I'm
out.
gonna have to unblur my screen because this is important to me.
Okay. There, there you are. Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay, these are pine trees. You can plant them. They're from Tree of Life. They're free. And if you want one or are interested in planting a Tree of Life tree, I will donate $1 for every one I send you, and I will pay the postage. You can have it sent from Tree of Life personally, or I have quite a few of them. I think it's a really beautiful thing. Jews, we plant trees. It's one of our things. And if anyone's interested, I would love some of our friends to plant some of these. So if you're
And
interested, let me know.
well, how should they let you know? On Twitter?
Hit me up on Twitter at Jewpiter underscore at the end, one underscore, or, and obviously we never say this, but Cats is at R Cats Gay, ARE Cats Gay. But yeah, please hit me up. I will do my best to get as many people as I can. It's
And
a
that is
beautiful.
it is. And that's Jupiter, Jew, Jew, not like the planet, like the bagel people.
Jupiter instead of Ju, it's Jew.
Jupiter. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Kaggot this week. We love you. Share this video if you enjoyed it so that more than like 3 people see it. That'd be pretty cool. But you know what? I'm glad that you came here. All right, we'll talk to you later now. Bye.